Welcome to day 2 of the 300 movie challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of July 1994. I almost said 2014. We're not quite there yet. And that movie was Forrest Gump. So I'd never seen this before. But my middle name is Forrest. And so, of course, whenever anyone found that out, they were like, "Hey, they're like Forrest Gump!" But, like, the thing is, again, you know, this whole thing is that I was born June 1994. This movie came out July 1994, so it's like impossible. Well, the movie is apparently based on a book, but like I highly doubt my mom read that. So, you know, I don't know anywhere she got it, but whatever. I feel like I've asked it at some point, but anyway, unimportant. So, but I don't know. This is a really hard film to describe.
It is a really hard film.
And it's like, I came in without really knowing what to expect, and I still feel like it wasn't what I expected.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense? I don't know. It's just...
No, I have that same exact feeling. Even though this is our second time watching it, because me and Miami watched it in middle school.
Yeah, that was like 10 years ago, though, so... This was kind of like watching it for the first-ish time, but not quite, because we watched the censored version in middle school, and there were parts that certainly were not in that version.
That and
the roommate part.
Yeah. I don't think that whole scene, even with the dorm room, was speech.
No.
No. But yeah, it was. I remember bits and pieces of it, but definitely watching it again, it was almost like, as Mayan said, like rewatching it for the first time all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there are parts that you didn't remember or that you remembered incorrectly and stuff. And there's... Yeah, I don't know quite what to...
Like, because, like, it's weird, the tone is, like, all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And normally you'd think that'd be a bad thing, but it's, like, not.
No, because he's, like, describing his life, and in that sense, it's, like, it's supposed to be up and down, too.
Right.
Yeah.
And what you think his life, like, the direction you think his life is gonna go, like, they made it a point in the movie to mention that, too, like, with the whole destiny thing. You would think he was destined to go one place, but then you see, like, everything that he went through and everything.
Yeah, and then it's like the life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're gonna get,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Exactly.
He really didn't know what he was gonna get.
No. Not at all.
Yeah, it's really weird, because, like, there's, like, I can't think of anything, like, wrong with it.
No.
Like, at all. It really just comes down to, like, how much I do connect with it on a personal level, and, like, I wouldn't say if I was, like, completely, fully, 100% invested, but, like, I will say I liked it more than I thought I would. Because from the bare basics of what I thought the movie would be about, and again, I said I didn't really know, and then even then I was not what I expected. But even with that in mind, it's still, like, I don't know, it's just really hard to explain, because it's all over the place, but it somehow works. It's just, it's weird, but it works.
I think the thing is that, in a way, you are also sitting on the bench with Forrest as he tells his story, and Forrest is just a very enjoyable person. Like, not just even a character, just a person to kind of listen to. I don't know. I always felt like I liked Forrest a lot, just as a person.
Yeah, and I think that was a good aspect they put in the film, like putting it... Because they could have just easily made it a story about his whole life and everything. They couldn't... And not had him, like, sitting on the bench and stuff. But I think him sitting on the bench and, like, explaining the story to everyone just added, like, a whole new level of, like, of aspects and stuff to the film.
Because the thing is that, you see how he describes it, and it's actually very innocent, but then you realize as you watch the movie also that there are layers to it that maybe he might not understand.
That's exactly what I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah.
You're kind of seeing it twice, in a sense.
Yeah.
Because you're hearing his version of it, and then you see what's actually going on, too.
Yeah.
Whether he knows it or not. Or he's able to, like, describe it and stuff.
And based on like who Forrest is, like as a person, right? Like if you were to describe him factually, right? He would be a really easy character to make annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But he's not.
No, yeah,
Right?
he's very likable.
Yeah, and he's easily probably everyone's favorite character in the entire film too.
Next to Lieutenant Dan.
Yes.
Yes,
I love Lieutenant Dan.
I love Lieutenant.
I do like that it's kind of interesting how like during like the Vietnam War part he's like you fucking chinks and then he's gonna marry an Asian person, so I think that's kind of interesting.
Character development.
I know, so it's a kind of really subtle like thing,
Yeah.
I mean, who knows if she's Vietnamese, but like it's just kind of.
I think she is. I could tell by her face.
Yeah, so I just think that's kind of interesting how that works. There's a lot of like really small things that you wouldn't necessarily notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and they paid attention to, like, I mentioned it during the thing, but like the type of cameras they used during certain parts, like
Yeah.
it's black and white. Then you saw, like, you could tell which like decade it was. Like it was
Yeah.
that he was showing up on TV just based on how the camera was and stuff, which I thought was a really cool aspect that they.
And just
And then-
from like a production standpoint, like the fact that they managed to do that and also incorporate him into like all these famous things and like the whole thing with like the whole Vietnam protest and there's like thousands of people around, like
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
it's technically impressive, right?
Yeah,
it
is.
So it's for a film that you would think like special effects, obviously Forrest Gump. You know what I mean? It's like you wouldn't think about it, but if like if you really like think about it, you're like, actually this is a really damn impressive and from like a filmmaking standpoint.
Yeah, it is.
It's very convincing because like you don't really see how he couldn't have been there, which is
Right.
really interesting.
Yeah.
So.
And like all the historical aspects of it too, because they included it somewhere he was actually there for it, but then other things were in the background, like in the end where they mentioned Reagan getting shot and stuff. That was just in the background. They just saw on TV and everything.
I didn't realize how many assassination attempts there were like back in the day.
I
Actually,
know.
Yeah,
so like we watched this movie and I was like, why did almost all of them get shot?
yeah.
Because it was like, well, okay, Kennedy's brother, was it Ford who got
Ford.
attacked twice,
Yeah.
and then Reagan got attacked. Yeah, it's just
Reagan.
like,
John Lennon.
damn. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
There were so many.
It's just kind of like, I don't know. It's one of those things that's like, I don't know.
And
you just-
Elvis, well, he died of a heart attack though.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering like if they ever have an official saying for what virus Jenny had. I don't know, like, there's also part of me thinks like, is it actually a virus or is it just like because she doesn't really know what it is?
I think it
Because
could
for some,
been,
my initial reaction was that she has AIDS.
that's what I thought too,
Yeah, I
because she was shooting up heroin.
Well, and also
Yeah.
just kind of her lifestyle for a lot.
Yeah.
So
And a lot of people
during that
there's
time
also
period,
AIDS,
yeah.
like the AIDS epidemic and stuff.
So I mean, again, I have no idea if that's confirmed. I just kind of thought of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
It's just so. I liked it. That's just something I can say.
It just makes you think too. Also, it's just,
Yeah, it does.
yeah.
I think the thing it makes you think about most is like how people treat each other,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially Jenny.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like how a lot of things. One thing that they managed to do really well is because like Forrest, he doesn't really like get a lot of the subtleties of like interaction or like why people think the way they do.
Yeah.
So, but like, from like an outside viewer, you're like, oh, I get it, he doesn't think of this, but like, we're supposed to. But then it also plants the thing in your mind about like, why do we think of something this way?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Right. So, like the whole thing about like the, Lieutenant Dan with like, I was supposed to die, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, so that kind of thing where it's like, yeah, why are we all up on noble sacrifice thing? Like, why is that a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so, it's just stuff like that that's, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a smart person. Okay. There's your quote.
I like that line.
Yeah.
I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is.
Yeah. I guess on a random note, when you mentioned Lieutenant Dan and noble sacrifice and stuff, I did like how he explained like for everyone's like ancestral backgrounds.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was
With
really,
Bubba's mom and Lieutenant Dan's family.
yeah. I like those like little sections. It kind of the humor in this movie is also really nicely done too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was afraid it would be like an annoying kind of humor, or like, oh, look at Forrest, he's being dumb. But like, no, it's like not like that at all. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's surprising. To me, at least, it was unexpectedly good. But it's also very hard to explain and very strange.
Yes.
Anything else to say?
I don't think so. I mean, I still like it.
Yeah, same. I don't know if I was even. It's just very hard to explain this movie.
It's hard to explain, but it's
It's
easy
hard-
to get into it at some point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but otherwise, it's hard to explain. It's like one of those movies you should watch at least once just to experience it.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
like, I'm glad I saw it. I don't know if I would see it again. I mean, if someone's like, hey, we're watching this, I'll be like, alright, like, I'm not gonna, like, walk away.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
you know, would I go out of my way to go watch this in? Probably not, but I'm glad I saw it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, there's 2 out of 2 we liked. Yay!
Yay!
um,
Off to a good start.
hooray.
Yes.
Clap, clap, clap. Oh, that sounds terrible, the quality.
Oh no.
Oh, oopsie.
Oh well, we'll keep it because we're just so professional. All right.
Yep.
Anyway, so that's it for Forrest Gump. We'll see you guys for day 3. Goodbye.
Bye!
Bye.